Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Abruzzi ANZCAR Cup Daytona Duel for the qualifying grid of the Daytona 500 coming up tomorrow for you on the Sim Shed Broadcasting Network at 2:10 p.m. Joining me today in the booth is Dave Douglas. How you going, Dave?
Hey, g'day, Carl. G'day, everybody. I'm looking forward to this one. We're back to oval racing after the clash the other day. Speed Weeks is my favourite week of the year. Looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah, Speed Week is one of those fantastic weeks, of course, and it is one that we all look forward to every year. Maybe not for the amount of talking and commentating that we have to do, but for some of the racing that we're going to get out of it. Of course, we are following Split 2 here. So just to explain what goes on with the qualifying, we have the qualifying itself, which happened last night, which saw Raymond Yeager take pole, with Ruben Phelps out on the second line. So those two are locked in for the 500 itself on the front row of the grid. The rest of the field have to battle now to get their positions in these qualifying races. Now, there are two splits. This is split 2, which will become our outside row for tomorrow. So these guys are racing for their position for starting the race. Now, you'll see some guys racing hard, wanting to start the front of the field, and maybe some towards the back of the field, not wanting to start too far up in the pack. Of course, Split 1 will be going on as well. We won't be covering that race, but the information from the results of it all will be published on the ANZCAR Facebook page, of course. So if you want to find out exactly what's going on, check out there. And of course, we will be running through the starting order properly tomorrow. But this is the Split 2 race, so 60 laps of fury, and obviously getting a good position and a good win out of it can get you a good start for tomorrow's race.
Yeah, absolutely, Carl. And you've got to get through the race, though. 60 laps is a long way here. It's going to take a lot of communication, a lot of patience as well, and just picking your runs, when to take them. But, yeah, fortune favours the brave here.
It does indeed. And of course, just finishing this race isn't going to lock you into Daytona, of course, because there are only 44 pit stalls at Daytona. And you might have noticed we've got a fair few more cars than that running out here tonight. So you've got to finish within the top 21 to get into that race. Now, there is a little caveat of that, of the top 20 from last year's championship season for the Cup. Of course, they are going to be locked into the race, providing that they actually start a lap of the duel. So they've got to at least do one lap of the duel to get into the race tomorrow. So a lot of people are locked into that already. So you've got a lot of people like Danny G, Jason Martin, Hamish Gallagher, Michael Skurlock, Jason Hartigan, Josh Micklemore. Those guys are locked into their positions, so they don't have to race quite as hard as some of the others. A few of the other people, they really have to race to get into tomorrow's race, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're going to be coming out here. They'll probably be aggressive. Whether they're aggressive early or late, we'll have to wait and see. But there's a lot of cool heads out there as well, and a lot of guys that are equally as fast. So it'll be interesting to see how they manage their way through the field tonight.
Yeah, it's almost a bit like a preview for tomorrow's race, isn't it? You get an idea of who's got some pace out there and who's not, of course. With this as well, it is fixed setup with this as well. So this one, they're sort of all on similar sort of stomping grounds. Whereas tomorrow for the actual race, of course, it will be their own setups. So you will see some differences come tomorrow's race with the pace of some of these guys. It depends on who's set their car up right, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did get word through that this is also an open setup race. So those guys are running their setups. So don't be surprised if the guys that are locked in, this is basically a live test session for them. So they're going to be aggressive. They're going to see what their car can do and how it handles in the pack. And they're going to make some moves tonight, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does make a bit of a difference, doesn't it? When you go from closed setup to open setup racing, things are just so very different, of course, because there's so many more things you have to worry about with the car.
Yeah, yep. So they're open. You've got your grill tape, which is a big thing here. So the more tape you run, the faster you go, but the more the car will overheat. So if you want to be aggressive in the pack, it's not ideal with a lot of tape. But if you're running out front, that's where you want to be. But yeah, the little thing is ride height, getting that rear spoiler out of the draft as much as you can. But yeah, it makes a big difference to the setups here.
Yeah, and it's a lot of preparation work, of course, but Daytona is one of those big ones to have in your crown. If you get a win at Daytona, you are doing very well. And even just getting a win in the qualifying race and stuff like that must be such a good feeling because it is such a hard track to run on. One mistake up front can absolutely wreck it for the rest of you.
Yeah, Daytona's one you want to win. I've come close a couple of times. I haven't got the Daytona 500 yet, but don't worry, I'm looking forward to getting back into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Talladega is not a bad runners-up prize, though, is it? Really, Dave?
Dega, they call it the granddaddy. Yeah, I've got one of them. So actually, a couple of them. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Okay, so they will be lining up on the grid right now, and they line up in their qualifying order, basically, from last night's qualifying race. So as they all come up onto the grid, we'll just go through the starting grid as they are. So up on the front row of the grid, we have Aidan Schultz and Nigel Patton. Second row is Michael Skurlock with Daniel Stevens. Third row is Luke Tahir with Hamish Gallagher. Fourth row is Josh Mickelmore with Danny G. Fifth row is Jason Hartigan with Jason Nicholas. Sixth is Phil Otto with Jason Martin. Seventh, Gary Huff, Paul Daniel. Eighth, Adam Rosell with Josh Carroll Walden. Ninth is Jacob Brewer with Matt Hunter. 10th, we have Devon Stove and Paul Jackson. 11th, Bailey Brancott with Gary Wellman. 12th, Kate Donnell with Ryan Bull. Kate having a win in the trucks this week as well, so look out for him. Then we have Reese May and Matthew Raymond with Mick Wilson taking up the rear of the grid. So some big names out there and quite a few people mid-pack that will be working quite well. Quite a few teams as well that have managed to get into the same session with each other as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I've got to get used to is the new teams and new drivers in those teams. And yeah, I'm going to have to get used to the numbers and colours, but we'll work on that over the course of the weekend, and surely we'll have it right by the end of it. But yeah, some big names in here. Some to look out for is definitely the likes of Skurlock and Denny G. Matty Raymond's in there. Mickelmore, especially those Mitch Motorsports cars. There's a few of them in here, I believe. And Hamish Gallagher. Yeah, so all three of the Mitch cars are in here. So they're poised to do good things. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's it. Actually, as you said, all the Mitch team have managed to get their cars into position. So really, really good job from them to manage to get their cars into a position where all of them are starting at the same point. So that's quite an impressive feat from them all.
Yeah, it certainly is. So that's going to be definitely going to help them tonight if they can get teamed up. They're fast anyway, so we'll see how they go. They're a bit spread out at the moment, but a bit of teamwork and communication on the radios, I'm sure they can sort that out.
Yeah, they'll be working hard with each other, trying to get everything set up so that they can get it all working out for them, and trying to get everything working the best they can. So Aidan Schultz and Nigel Patton having that front row, it's going to be quite useful for them, of course, but on a super speedway, not always the best place to be as the pace car comes in, and we go green for the Duel here at Daytona, 60 laps.
Yeah, good stuff for Aidan there. We got one coming down the pack there, just slotting into the bottom row. We'll take a couple of laps to sort these guys out, and we'll just see how they go, but good stuff for Aidan.
Yeah, he's managed to get on that lower line and get into place locked in at the moment. That high line starting to try and work together, but the low line looks to be pretty solidly in a row at the moment. Of course, pack racing, you want to try and get working with everybody around you as quickly as possible. As you see, Nigel Patton there just managing to get his car slotted down into that bottom row already. So good job from him to manage to get down there because he was getting stuck a little bit on that outside and getting hung out to dry.
Yeah, well, Aidan's got Josh Mickelmore for company here and Jason Hardigan behind him, so it's not a bad. He's not in bad company up the front. I think Hamish Gallagher's starting to sort of make some moves through the field. I'm just trying to find him. I think he's on the high line there. He certainly is. He's in with Gary Huff there, so he thinks on the inside. That's one of our American guys racing tonight. So we'll see how he goes with all his experience.
Yeah, it's be interesting to see how it goes, of course, and it can sometimes be a little bit tricky racing on the servers, international servers, because you do get a little bit more ping, but it seems to be going all right for him at the moment. And of course, nice to see some international flavour in the race tonight as well.
Yeah, for sure. And as you can see, there's not too many sort of hanging off the back there. They're all sort of 2x2 for the first, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so. We got Hamish Gallagher giving Dan Stevens a bit of a push right up behind Hardikin. So Hardikin's actually moved out now with Josh behind Aiden. And they're looking to get in front and take the lead of this race.
Yeah, they've positioned themselves well, and that top line is starting to run a little bit better now. We did see that in the truck series earlier on Monday this week, where the Highliner did have some good turns of speed. As Jason Hardigan comes down a little bit too early there and gets caught from Aiden Schultz, spun around there. So big moment for Hardigan there.
And I think we stay green here. So yeah, he's just come down. He delayed. Josh went down. He didn't go down with Josh and stayed up. And that hesitation, Aiden Schultz has done nothing wrong there. Hardigan spun himself across that into the grass there. I don't know if he made contact with the wall, but no yellow. We stay green.
Yeah, we actually saw this in the ANZCAR series where the cautions weren't coming out too quickly. So we believe there's been a little bit of a change in the algorithms and numbers and things like that, where the caution doesn't come out quite as quickly as it would before. So we might see a few less cautions this year, but we'll see how things pan out with that one. But that's going to really hurt Harskin there, because obviously that's going to damage his car, that's going to throw him right to the back of the grid, and his only real saving grace now is the fact that he managed to make it into the chase last year. So he's sort of secured his spot, but definitely a shame for Hardigan there. He's going to be kicking himself on that one.
Yeah, well, that's it, mate. Daytona doesn't give you much of a break, so if you hesitate, that's what happens. He sort of hesitated behind Josh there, didn't go with him. There was room, but it closed up very quickly, so if you don't make those moves and then you try and delay it, that's likely to happen, and lucky he didn't take anyone else with him. But yeah, no fault at all of Aiden Schultz there, so no damage by the looks of it too, so he'll keep on trucking on.
Yeah, really good news for Aiden Schultz, not getting too much damage there. It was just a light tap on the front. But the cars, when you're travelling at these absurd speeds, 300 and or about 320 kilometers per hour almost, you know, one little tap like that, it is very easy for that car to go around. We almost saw the big one there, but luckily the car went down onto the infield very quickly and managed not to cause a big checkup behind it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to avoid any contact here, especially on that nose. Any sort of damage does affect the airflow of the vehicle, and at these tracks where you're running flat out, any sort of ripple or imperfection is going to affect that airflow.
Absolutely crucial. As we say, these cars are going at immense speed when they're in the pack, of course, and that's one of the big things about this style of racing that is a bit different too, is when you're in the pack, not leading it per se, but when you're in it, you can of course lift your foot off the accelerator a little bit. You don't have to push the car quite as hard. You can save a bit of fuel, and you're not running the car quite to the extremes that people up the front will be running. You'll be using a bit more fuel than those guys in front, and of course any aero damage and things like that, as soon as you get out of the pack, that really starts to affect you more. Even when you get out of the pack, when you're just on your own, you're not really racing anybody, it is extremely dire. As Hamish Gallagher just had a big wibble there and went up into Daniel Stevens.
You'll see the Mitch Motorsport cars, aggressive move from Jason Martin there to get down to the low line, but now they're 1, 2, 3 on that bottom line, so they're in a perfect position, and that's what they would have been working to get to.
They're desperately trying to work that out, haven't they? Just to get into a position where they can start pushing each other, working together as well. Teammates do make a big difference in the sport, and it can really make your life a lot easier when you've got them around you.
Yeah, definitely. Those guys, they can just control the race now. So basically, with that position, you got the outside line trying to get past you out there. Or all Hamish has to do is just get onto the bumper of Josh and just push a little bit, and that outside usually will stall out again. So it just depends on tape as well, remember. So you can only push for a certain amount of time if you've got a lot of tape on that front grille.
Yeah, that is the big thing, isn't it, really? Of course, the tape is going to make a big difference to your ability to run in the pack. Of course, if you've got less tape on the car, it means you can run in the pack a little bit longer. A few of those guys will be sort of thinking about that for the race. Of course, they'll have a bit less tape on there because they know they'll be running in a pack a bit. And then you've got a few more of the confident guys that might have a bit more tape on the car because they think they're going to be running out front for most of the race.
Yeah, for sure. And Phil Otto, the number one, he's been around for a long time. He's on the back of Aiden Schultz now, trying to lead that outside line. Aiden isn't being too aggressive, and nor does he need to be at this stage of the race. He's just running his own race, and he's got Matty Raymond for company behind Phil Otto.
Yeah, that highline looks to be suffering a bit, though, as, just behind, see a bit of a moment for Bailey Braincard, I think it was, in the number 17. Just had a little bit of a moment just going onto the straight there, just went below the yellow lines. But that top line is starting to fade away a bit now.
Yeah, we've got some lap traffic coming as well, so they're going to be 3 wide back here in the pack, but hopefully nothing comes of it. But yeah, I've been keeping an eye on Bailey. He's looks a bit nervous, old Bailey. He's doing all right there. He's sitting in 13th, but yeah, I've seen a couple of times he's got real close to the rear quarter panel on a couple of cars, so he just needs to try and hold it straight there, and hopefully he doesn't get in a wreck.
Yeah, it is such a different thing to be doing as well. If you're not sort of if you're sort of coming onto ovals relatively new, you might have a bit of experience running here and there, but when you start running in cup races at Daytona, it's such a different feeling. These cars are so very different as well. They have a fair amount of aero to them, and you get a bit of aero wash, things like that, and that can really affect you. Just the feeling of the car as well, of course, once you're in traffic, feels very different to when you're out of it as well, and the car can get a little bit sketchy sometimes, just going into a corner if you get a bad bit of aero draft, and sometimes it can catch you by surprise, can't it?
Yeah, for sure. They don't like any sort of movement. Like, you can get right onto that rear bumper and it'll take the air off the rear wing of the car in front, and it'll just get light on you. And if you're in the tri-oval or in the turns, yeah, you can look definitely go around there.
Yeah, it's very easy to look silly sometimes just because of things like that, because that aero. Oh, and a big incident mid-pack. Big incident mid-pack there.
Tell you what, Paul Jackson's just snuck through there on the apron. I was just riding with Paul Jackson. He sneaks through, but that may have come from Bailey, I think. We're going to check the replay here.
I think it was Cade Donnell. He lost the rear end, was up in the top, and went down into Bailey there, unfortunately. Big incident there, though, from those guys. That's a big one.
Yeah, Cade Donnell going for a wild ride up there in the catch fence. Just have a look through this replay here, a bit of a slow motion replay, but I'm just trying to see. Yeah, Cade Donnelly, definitely. He came down. I'm not sure why. I'm just going to have a better look at it. We were just talking about getting loose, mate, and that's exactly what happened. He just got loose on that high line. May have just pulled on that steering wheel a bit too hard, but when you try and get these things as fast as you can, they're well trimmed for speed, but they don't handle well in the straight. So once he's ripped that steering wheel to the left, and it's just got loose and straight down into, unfortunately, Bailey Barnicoat.
Yeah, unfortunate casualty there, and that's the trouble on ovals like this, is when you get caught, it does hurt an awful lot. And as you say, that little bit of aero damage that's been caught to a few cars out there, quite a few cars will have got caught up with the aero damage. Just a little bit of damage to the car, a little bump here and there. They do affect you for the rest of the race, of course, but this is going to help some of those guys, especially up front, who managed to avoid that incident. And then a few of the cars that were running a little bit further behind, not running too close, of course, just wanting to avoid a big wreck like that. Those guys are now sitting in a position where they can possibly take advantage of this. We're on lap 13, of course, of 60. So do you think we might see some people possibly rolling the dice coming in for pit stops now?
Yeah, absolutely. On lap 60 or 13, we've got a couple on the caution. I would definitely come in if I'm back in the pack. Just top that fuel up. And look, look at most of them are going to come now, so we can see them coming into the pit road. Someone stays. That's Ryan Bull, I think it is, out there. It is. He stays out, so he's going to run the gauntlet. And he's going to think maybe he's going to stay out of trouble at the point end of the field. It'll work for now, but at some point he will need to come down pit road for fuel.
Yeah, Ryan Bull rolling the dice a bit there. I actually saw him doing that in the truck race on Monday, and it didn't work out too well for Ryan. Got his maths wrong a little bit. Thought it was 100 laps, not an 80-lap race. So that caught him out a little bit for that one. So hopefully he's got his maths right tonight, but he could, of course, just be staying out there an extra lap, get a lap led, and then come in when the pit lane's a little bit less busy, or maybe just stay out there hoping for a later caution.
Yeah, absolutely, and good stops for the Mitch boys. They're all back out 1, 2, 3. Now that will split them up for the time being, but they can work on that. And I did just see Jason Hardikin with this yellow. He will get 1 lap back. He just went past the pace car, so he got the lucky dog.
Yeah, he's going to get 1 lap back, so I think he'll only be 3 laps down now, I think. So unfortunately for him, he's got a couple of laps to make up on that one. But with people having damage, with people having to get some serious repairs in those cars, he's going to make up some positions for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But shame for Cade there, our Monday night winner in the trucks. He didn't really do anything wrong there. Just as I said, sometimes these race cars are set up to run loose. Loose is fast, and just put him out there.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's very, very easy to happen. So currently it looks like Gary Huff, Paul Daniel, Jacob Brewer, Kate Donnell, and Bailey Brancott were the big ones to get involved in that. Matt Hunter as well had some damage, and I think Danny G maybe got caught a little bit in that one too. He just had to lift off a little bit, but those guys getting some extra repairs done to their car just to get a little bit of extra speed when it gets back to green flag racing, where Ryan Bull will be leading us away, but Josh Micklemore will be on the outside.
Yeah, well, Ryan Bull's one of those guys that'll be trying to race his way into the Daytona 500. So at the moment, he's playing his card, and that's the way he sees by being at the front is his best bet, and that's the way he's going to roll with it for now.
Yeah, of course, and it's sometimes these obscure strategies do pay off for you. Sometimes, in not following the rest of the field in can be an advantage and can sometimes work out a little bit better for you. Of course, one thing it will have for Ryan is his tyres will be fully to temperature back out there. You wouldn't have lost any temperature running around there if any of those guys did change tyres, which most of them probably wouldn't, but they might be getting a little bit of temperature getting their tyres up to temperature, and takes a couple of moments sometimes, and can sometimes catch you a loose end or something like that. So things like that can sometimes breed extra cautions, of course, which could help Ryan Bull out.
Yeah, definitely. As you see, like Daytona's not too hard on tyres, but being an open setup, they will use tyres differently. And Kay Donnelly's just learned a hard lesson there. And you can imagine if he didn't take tyres later on in the race, it will only get looser. So some of these guys will take tyres. I'm not sure how many sets they got available tonight through them, but I know they usually are limited.
That said, in the race itself, I think we have a full tyre limit of, I can't remember off the top of my head now, but in this race there is a tyre limit of 5. So there's 5 tyre limits for limit of 5 sets of tyres for this race. So green flag is back out, and Ryan Bull gets a good launch away, but I think that's mainly because the Mitch Motorsport boys are just backing the pack up a little bit just to get themselves worked into a position where they can all link up with each other.
Yeah, that's how they'll be on the radios. It's not working from right now, but I'd say, I'm just trying to work out how they're going to run it here. Josh is putting a lot of pressure on him. JCW on the 35. He's not letting them team up, so he's just going to push Hamish and not give those guys the opportunity.
Yeah, he's seen what they were trying to do there, and he's just really trying to push them forward. He's using all of that extra horsepower and all that power in that car to push them forward to get them away from Jason Martin. But now they've managed to slide down on that inside line, leaving Joshua Carroll-Walden without a car in front of him. So that's going to cut a little bit of speed off him for the moment. He's going to try and get a bit of a side draft. He's got quite a few cars behind him as well. This is going to help him try and get up the field a little bit. But Josh Micklemore has managed to get back in the lead of this race.
Yeah, look for Martin. If he gets clear of Josh, Martin will jump up high, and I'd say he will probably use Josh to get to the front. But at the moment, Josh, I'd be happy with that. Martin sticks, so he's not going to jump out just yet. But Phil needs to get up behind Josh if they're going to move forward. At the moment, that gap they've got there will not move them forward at the moment. So they're just slowly dropping out on the outside line. Obviously comfortable. Now Phil Otto just pushes up a bit on to the 35. And he's got Matty Raymond for company behind him, and then who is it? Trahir, so one of the cranky sports guys behind him.
They're certainly doing their best to work their way up there, and we did see from the truck series, Trahir is actually quite a good pusher. Edward Foss was saying at the truck race, he'll be looking for Trahir to get behind him at some stage in the 500 if he gets in the race, because he certainly did some good pushing in the truck series and got some good pace out of that top line, almost getting him to the lead of the race for some points of that race, up until a caution got him out a little bit. I won't talk any more on that one.
Yeah.
But Josh Mickelmore leads the race.
Yeah, definitely. And the pushing, it's not something you just stumble upon. Like there is an art to it. You got to know when to push and where to push and where the energy is going to come off the turns. So that goes a big way of getting to the front. So obviously Trahir's maybe got a bit of help from his teammates, or he's done a bit of running himself. But yeah, he was definitely the man to watch in the truck race.
Yeah, he's definitely coming along leaps and bounds. We saw Trahir in the series last year, but definitely improving, of course, working with Virtual Motorsport Mentor himself, getting help with that one, and you can just see just getting that little bit more confidence in the racing as well. But at the moment, Josh Mickelmore's leading. Hamish Gallagher, of course, another standout star of last year. Hamish Gallagher really came along strong enough to land himself a seat in the Mitch Motorsport team as well for this season. Really just speaks so much on Hamish Gallagher. He really put in a lot of effort last season, got some good wins, got into the chase, and really pushed everybody hard. And coming into Mitch Motorsport is a pretty good deal for him because there's some very good experienced teammates around him, as we can see, with 3 of them being in the top 4 at the moment.
Yeah, good deal for Hamish, and I think a good deal for the Mitch boys because they obviously they spot the talent and they've already brought him in, and they brought him in for a reason. So yeah, there's a reason why he's there, and good luck to him for the rest of the season. But right now he's doing a good job behind Josh, just controlling the race. Just watching out the back there, we only got 3 on the top line at the moment, which is Phil Otto, Matty Raymond, and Trahir still. Not sure they're having much luck. It may just drop back into our single file running here in the next not too far future.
Yeah, they're really struggling out there as Phil Otto just gets a little bit loose there for a moment, and that's going to allow Matthew Raymond actually to drop down. He drops down a little bit too quickly and just touches a little bit in the infield there. He's managed to keep it going though, but he's dropped out of that outside line. You can see now he's actually just trying to get back up in front now. He's taking the lead of it. I was just going to say behind him though, you've got Danny G just trying to link up to that top line for a couple of moments. He's just thought better of it now though. So they're definitely looking at it, and a little bit of moment for Nigel Patton there. He's just got a little bit loose, and everybody's doing a good job of keeping everything straight there. But you can see how much these cars wriggle around under you. This isn't the drivers just coming out for a bit of air on the car to cool them down. It is a very wriggly car sometimes, and it is very hard to run side by side in these vehicles.
Yeah, look, Matty Raymond, I should say. He's not happy to ride in that bottom queue, so he's jumped up again here. He's got, who's that he got for company? Is that Reese May? No, that's Aidan Schultz. He's jumped up. He's going to try and lead that pack, but yeah, look, Matt's trying to make things happen here. He knows he's got to race his way in. He could just be testing out, see what his car can do, see if he's able to get to the front. He's right on the back bumper of Aiden, actually getting Aiden loose through the tri-oval there. So lucky not to wreck him, but yeah, he's giving one hell of a push right now through turn 1.
Yeah, Aiden Schultz just getting caught out a little bit, maybe a bit surprised by just the push he got there from Matty Raymond. And that's one of the things you've got to be careful of as well, is, pushing when you're getting through the tri-oval and sort of on the corners sometimes, is people can get caught out a little bit.
They got that outside roll on now though. You can see on your screen there, right on board with Aiden. He's just rolling up the outside with that push from Matty. So it's doable. But like I said, these guys on the inside, Hamish, all he has to do is manage it, and he's just got to push Josh. Other than that, he can just cruise about a metre off the back of the bumper. But that top line is starting to gather some momentum and get back together again.
They're getting up some speed now, so that's what they need to do, and they've got enough cars to start working on it, of course, because you need to have at least 3 to 4 cars to get a line working, don't you?
Yeah, 3 cars, definitely. 2 cars is not ideal, but 3 cars or more. But you also, he gets loose again down the back straight, so a bit of swerving here, but yeah, you've got to try to keep it straight. So the less movement on the steering wheel, less friction on the wheels, the faster you'll go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about maximising the forward momentum, of course, and not having any of that horizontal momentum, because that's what really does cost you that little bit of extra speed. And we're talking tenths of kilometres per hour, aren't we, really?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you only got to be 2 kilometres slower, and the pack's going to just roll on by you. Like, the speed difference between the pack and a single car on its own, I couldn't give you numbers, but I'm going to say it's at least 30k different there, I'd say.
Yeah, about right there, about 30 kilometers per hour is the difference when you're not running in the pack. I was just having a quick browse through some of the other guys out there, and just as a bit of an example, running on his own, running on their own sort of thing. There's two cars with Kay Donnell and Jacob Brewer, and they're running around about 290 kilometers per hour at their speeds. Whereas the front runners are running around about 319, 320 kilometers per hour. So that is a big difference in speed.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody knows that when you come to Daytona, you got to stay in the pack. It's pack racing. That's what it's always been about, and that's what it'll always be about. But we're just keeping an eye on that outside line. They're still trying to make that work, Matt Hunter. Aiden needs to not look in his mirror so much. I think he just sort of zigged then Matty zagged then. That won't help at all. But yeah, if you're a leading car, if you're out the front, it's very easy to get caught out looking in your mirror. And if you look in that mirror, you tend to follow the car behind you, and he's actually moving with you, so you actually make it worse. So basically, you just want to stare at that front windscreen. Don't even ignore the mirrors. Otherwise, yeah, you'll start following the car behind you, and he's actually just there trying to micromanage you, basically.
Well, that's it. Of course, in oval racing, you've also got the advantage, of course, of having a spotter with you, of course, and you tend to want to use them more than use mirrors, of course, because when you're driving in your mirrors, you miss so much in front of you, and you can really lose yourself time if you've got that spotter working for you perfectly. And some of these guys actually have rather than have
a wall there. Just got up in the wall. Sorry to cut over there, Carl, but he just scraped the outside wall through 3 and 4. No harm, no foul. It would have just cost him a bit of speed. I don't know if there's much damage on that car, but not ideal. But he gets away with it.
No, the good thing about racing at night, of course, is it does cause a great spark show. So that is one benefit of it. But yeah, just getting a slight clip in that wall, and that's really hurt that outside line again, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. As I was saying, 3 cars is minimal to make any line work. And they're coming up on a couple of lap cars up here. I can just hear the guys on the radios just communicating with them, and they're going to move high and let these guys through. But they will get 3 wide eventually through this pack. Sometimes the inexperienced guys sort of freak out a bit, and this can cause wrecks. As you can see, who was that in the Jacob Brewer up in the fence there, so he obviously saw the pack coming. It makes you get a bit nervous. You try open that steering up. Matty Raymond just got loose through the try over there right behind Aiden, so lucky to hold on to that one.
Yeah, good job for holding on to it, and good job by Jacob Brewer not to panic too much there and crank too much on the steering wheel, come down. Sometimes you just got to ride that wall a little bit just to not cause a big incident, because it's so easy to do is you panic and you touch the wall and all of a sudden you slam on the brake or something like that, and then all hell breaks loose, of course. So there is a big art in even scraping a wall and being lapped, of course. It's a hard series to race in, and it's hard to even be lapped sometimes. You know, when you're not on the pace and not up with the front guys even, you still have so much to think about. And when you're running 3 wide at Daytona, it is always a moment of clenching teeth and holding on for dear life, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been in the same position, even with the experience I have. Like, I love these tracks. If you're getting about to get lapped by the pack, it's very intimidating to see how quick that pack is coming at you. So it's easy to fall victim to being too kind and getting a wall or not giving them enough room. So it is intimidating, but just something you just got to get used to, and just basically hold your line, drive straight and hold your line.
Yeah, that's it. Holding a line is really important in those respects, and it is that thing of, you know, just sort of knowing the best way to do things, and holding your line sometimes is the easiest way for people to get through, or just holding that high line and just ignoring the pack as they go by, and just letting them through, and then just jumping onto the back of them can sometimes get you back in the race as well. Of course, if you've lost the pack, you're going to lose a lot of speed. If you can get onto the tail of it, sometimes it can get you back into the race. You might be a lap down, but if you're the first car a lap down, then you are going to get the lucky dog, of course. Josh Micklemore still leading with Hamish Gallagher second, Ryan Bull third, Jason Martin fourth, and fifth is Daniel Stevens.
Yeah, I just went back through the pack to find the Mitch Motorsport teammate. He's which is Denny G. He's running 15th at the moment on the inside of Phil Otto. So not much you can do about that from there. Obviously, those guys on the outside have been trying to work that line, and it hasn't really done anything. So he's basically just got to swallow the pill right now and just ride where it is. You got Skurlock coming up for a bit of fun. I haven't seen him for a while, so he's getting into that outside line now. Trahir was up here somewhere. He might be able to find his teammate, which is on the inside of him now, I think.
Yeah, so Trahir's just a little bit in front of him there. So
look for those guys to link up as well now. So Skurlock's had enough sitting at the back. He wants to have a bit of fun. He's looking to go forward here.
yeah, he's thinking about those positions now as we come into lap 32. Half race distance has gone for sure, and that top line is starting to form up once again, and they're going to start to try and work a push towards the front once more to battle up to the front of the pack, of course, which is all again part of the strategic part of the race.
Oh, geez, Denny G got into the back of Jason Nichols there. Big checkup. Denny G's just jumped out of it here now, and he's loose on the apron. He's right out of it. I don't know if he's got an issue, but he's he's just dropped the back of gear. Just big check up on that bottom line, and he actually got into the back of Jason Nichols there. So that's what you got to be careful for too. If you check up, it's easy to run these guys over in front of you.
Yeah, and then just rejoining there, Danny G. A lot of experience in Danny G, but even he had trouble getting that car back on there. You don't realise how steep the banking is sometimes when you're watching it on the cameras, of course. These are very steep banks, and when you've got the car half on the apron, half on the banking, the car does not like that at all. Oh, Jason Martin's going around!
He holds on to it. He's holding on. He's about to come back on the track. He's got to get it slowed down, otherwise he'll go up the track here in turn one. He gets it slowed down. He's does he just manages to get it slowed down? So he's going to have Denny G for company back there, though. So not ideal, but he does have a teammate back there.
Yeah, not a good lap for Mitch Motorsport there. Good job for Jason Martin managing to keep that one. He did look like he wanted to get back up on the line, but he thought better of it because again that car just started dancing around on him on the apron and the banking, and he manages to just catch it. Again, that's one of those things of experience there from Jason Martin, and it just shows, the experience just kicking in, managing to hold on to that car and not lose it completely.
He's actually making his way to pit lane, so I'm not sure what the issue is there. Jason Martin maybe knows he's in it, so he's just going to park it. But as you can see, the outside line, that bottom line's broken up a bit now. Bit of check up, and then the very next lap, Jason Martin had that little issue. But one guy you're going to have to keep an eye on here is Ryan Bull. So he's going to be praying for a caution because in about 5 laps, I reckon he's going to be looking to come down pit road because if you remember, he didn't come down on fuel, he didn't take anything. So he has to stop in the next, I'm going to say, 8 laps.
Yeah, from some running I did in the practice session that was hosted at the beginning of the week, it was about 45 laps of fuel you could just about squeeze out of these cars. He's been running in the pack a bit, so that's going to sort of help him out a little bit, but he's not going to be able to get to the end, even praying to all the gods of fuel saving. I don't think there is any possible way to make that unless he's got his own refinery in the car.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I said 3 cars is what you need, but Skurlock's making it work with 2, and the reason that is because that bottom line's broken up. They're happy to ride and cruise at the moment. They're not pushing, so they're actually making time on this outside line now with Skurlock pushing the 1 car of Phil Otto.
Yeah, Skurlock's right under the wing of Phil Otto there. And Phil Otto, a lot of experience in the series as well, so he's quite happy to get that bit of extra push from Michael Skurlock there, and they are really moving forwards. Looks like Ryan Bull is sort of he's sort of tempted by that outside line almost for a second, but can't quite make use of it at the moment. He's going to sit there and be trying to think what he can do at the moment, because at the moment it just looks like he's going to be having to just come into the pits and take a green flag stop, which is going to really cost him.
Yeah, absolutely. So you watch the 13 here, so basically you've got Phil Otto on the outside now, so the 13 is going to want to get up behind Josh and just give him a little shove just to make sure that they don't get any momentum on the outside. So you can match their speed on the outside on that inside line with those guys there and just control that race. So Hamish Gallagher knows what he's doing. He's done it before, and so too those guys on the outside. They've been around a long time as well. Yeah,
a lot of experience at the front of the pack, and a lot of race wins between the front of the pack as well. That's the thing, is you've got some very good finishes in the series and drivers that have been around for a while and really looking for for getting those more of those wins under their belt, of course. But they're currently sitting there quite well. That outside line's starting to work itself out nicely as well. A few more cars have joined it now as well.
Yep.
Devon Stove just behind him, and Matty Raymond as well up there too. So those guys are trying to get that outside line working for them. Of course, when Ryan Ball has to dance into the pits, that's going to bring in the number 3 of Daniel Stevens into the action up front, of course.
Yeah, it may even scatter the pack, but I'm sure he'll communicate with the guys around him when he needs to pull in. But yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. That second groove is definitely, I believe Ryan Ball's going to pit this time. I can see his virtual hand out the window. So, correction, yeah. So, lap 39 he got to, I believe, see him peel off here. So, we'll see if there's any congestion or anything coming off the track here. And there he goes, pulls off into the pit lane, and that's textbook. So, no harm, no foul. He'll go get his tyres and fuel, and he probably will drop a lap, but he's definitely not out of it yet.
No, it's he's got to pray for a caution now to get back in it. I think that's really the only way that things are going to work out for him right now. But of course, the rest of these guys should be able to just about make it to the end, I think, on fuel. But well, we might see some fuel saving coming into effect.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tight.
Yeah, I was just working that out in my head. Yeah.
So lap 13, I believe, is when they last stopped under the cushion. Here we go. There's another one that just took out, just dropped out of the line there, and it's going to take service. Jason Nichols. So some of these guys in the pack, if they've been saving, they might be able to make it. But it is going to be interesting to see who can, who can't.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit touch and go, really. It's going to be a close one. We've seen a few close finishes on fuel lately, but this could be a really, really close one for some of those guys in the pack. I think the person that's going to suffer most at the moment is going to be Josh Mickelmoy. He's definitely going to have to stop for fuel because he's been leading this pack the whole race long, and that's not good on the fuel mileage.
No, definitely not. So Josh Mickelmoy will definitely have to stop before the end of this race, I believe. Being out front uses a lot more fuel. I reckon it's probably even 3 laps, the difference, maybe 2 to 3 laps of fuel running out front or on your own.
Yeah, it does make a huge amount of difference, and the pack's actually just coming up now on Jacob Brewer and Kai Donnelly, but they're also coming up on Ryan Ball. So this could be kind of useful for Ryan to get back in on the pack at least. If he can get himself hooked up quite nicely here, he'll be able to run with the pack for a few laps. And when these guys come into the pit, oh,
Jesus, tight. We're going 3 wide through here.
3, 4 wide. Oh, we got cars going round.
Are we going to get it?
Incident, and here's the caution.
That's what we were talking about earlier. It's intimidating when the pack comes down on you, and it sort of scattered the pack there. And the bottom line's checked up by the looks of it, and Mick Wilson has, so the bottom line checked up. Mick Wilson didn't realise he's got into the back of one of the other cars there, and Luke Trahir's been caught up in that as well, so that's a big name. So he actually has to race his way into this race.
Yeah, that's not good for Trahir, and that's not going to help him out, and obviously he's going to want to try and get back into this one. Hopefully he's not got too much damage, but he did get quite a few big bumps in that one. That was a messy moment, of course. Cars coming out of pit lane, caught on that bottom line, cars being lapped on the outside line, 4 wide. 4 into 1 does not work very well here.
No, definitely not. You could barely get 3 through there, but unfortunate for Luke there. He was just a victim. As I said, the checkups, you got to be ready for him on that bottom line, and the field was scattered massively there. And unfortunately, one of the guys just got into the back of someone else, and the innocent victim being Luke Trahir just got caught up in it.
Jason Nichols apologising on the radio for that one. I mean, as I said, I think he was a bit stuck in all reality because not much you could do when you're coming out of the pit lane sometimes, and getting caught up in that sort of situation, it's a scary place to be, and it's not easy to know what the best course of action can be sometimes, but they're all going to come into the pit lane now. There's no point in risking it out there. I think everybody's going to come in other than Ryan Bull, really.
Ryan Bull, so he'll stay. He'll get a wave around now. So unfortunate, but luckily the cushion
Well,
out, so he'll get it.
Ryan was on the lead lap, I think, still. So this is going to work out beautifully for Ryan Bull because he'd just come out and he was just ahead of the leaders. So I think Ryan might be in a good position for this one.
Yeah, he's taken off. So let me just go back and make sure of that. He's got Daniel Stevenson, so he mustn't. He's just be. He would have got the lucky dog actually. So he'll get the lucky dog. He'll go on the back of the track. So on the back of the pack. Sorry. So he'll be on the lead lap now, but he'll just be at the back. That's all. I want to keep an eye on the damage on Luke Trahir's car though, to see how well those guys fix it up. Because remembering he's got a race into this, so any damage repair that they can do to that car, and basically you got to get back out there and just take what you got and see where you end up.
Yeah, that's it. He's in the sort of danger zone at the moment. He really needs to race and just keep on the lead lap basically, and just keep ahead of a few of the guys because he's currently sitting down there in 20th position. But got to remember, only 21 cars are going to get through this one, and a couple of those guys that are sitting currently outside of the top 20 are Jason Martin and Jason Hartigan, who are going to go through. So got to be in the top 19, I think, by my maths. To get through.
He's still got everything to lose here, so he's just got to go out there and just run his clean laps and hope that there's maybe more wrecks. You're not out of it until the checkered flag here.
For those Luke Trahir fans, I know there are a few of you out there. He is currently sitting in 19th position, so he is right in that spot for danger. So it just depends how much damage is on that car now and how it goes from here. Really, it's going to be a tricky one for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, no fault of his own, but that's what happens. That's the nature of the beast here at Daytona. You come, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Oh, geez, Gary Wellman's just nearly run at the back of the car in front of him under pace laps here.
Oh yeah, big thing you got to watch out for is the checkup of the pace car. Of course, you come out of you come out back onto the track and you try and catch up to the pack. Sometimes it can catch you out by surprise, and these cars don't stop well. They don't really have what most would consider brakes, do they?
No, but surprisingly, they do pull up pretty quick. You just got to be able to use it. That's all. A lot of people don't use them. So you usually sort of see an opportunity to score points, score positions. So they reluctantly use the brake, but definitely you need to use it here, and they do pull up pretty quick if you get onto them quick enough.
If you get it right, it works quite well, but it's not the easiest thing to do. But definitely not the brakes of a single seater or a GT car, things like that, are they?
Nah, definitely not the downforce either. But,
pace car.
Sorry, just before we go green, Matt Hunter, he's got a little bit of damage, but he's still in it. He's sitting at 11th, so about to go green, see how he can end up in this race.
Yeah, he's sitting good, and of course Matt Hunter did make it through to the chase last season as well, so looking good for him. Pate's car goes in, green flag goes out, brilliant start for Phil Otto on the outside. Hamish Gallagher getting a good jump as well, but Phil Otto just leading it by a nose at the moment. He needs to get some help from behind by the 52 of Schultz to get that outside line moving before the Mitch Motorsport boys lock up. They've finally locked up, and Hamish Gallagher's getting a good push from Josh Micklemore. Just behind him, you've got Aidan Schultz, who's come down and left Phil Otto out to dry there. So really just leaving Phil Otto out to dry, coming down and slot himself into P3 at the moment. So good job from Aidan Schultz there. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm liking this. The guys that are lined up on this outside there. You got Phil Otto, Matty Raymond, Michael Skurlock, Dan Stevens, and Denny G was there. I think Denny G was there, but he dropped down. So those guys can get up. They'll pose a threat on that outside line. So what are we working? 14 laps to go. So it's getting down to business time. You got to start making moves, I reckon.
Yeah, it sounds like Skurlock has a issue. So he's dropping back a bit in the field. So that top line is broken up now, sadly. Was looking good for a couple of moments there, but it's not working out so well now. I think Skurlock's actually dropping back to help his teammate out a little bit. So he's dropped back to help Luke Trahir out.
Obviously, Skurlock's in the race, so he can cop that. So he can go back there and do what he can to help Trahir. And that's the way you got to play it. You got teammates, you got to help them out.
And of course, just to remind people, this is a race for qualifying position, of course, as the field comes round past a car, just going a bit slower again, and that's had to drop the bottom line down a bit.
So Denny G's trying to make a move up here. He's just gone to the outside of Paul Jackson, I believe it is. It is Paul Jackson. So he's got Matty Raymond. So Matty Raymond's been persistent with that outside line. He's trying to make it work, and now he's got a fast car in front of him. They might be able to just do something here, but Denny G's not complacent or not happy with sitting there, and wants to make something happen because it's getting down to business time here. And there's a bump from the 83 there, so yeah, they'll look to get that momentum moving forward. He'll get a bit of draft on that car, that lap car on the outside. That'll help as well.
Yeah, Matty Raymond's been having a good race so far. He started down there in what's Matty Raymond start? 26th position, and he's got up there in the sort of top 10 at the moment. So he's really been working hard. Another one is Reese May as well, up there in 5th at the moment, started down there in 25th. So some good positions gained from those guys. That's some nice positions gained for the race tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. Now, something I've missed in that pit stop as well, it might have been on the restart, but Hamish has jumped his teammate. So Hamish now is at the point, and he's got Josh Mickelmore doing the pushing behind him.
Yeah, obviously interesting to see how those cars work out now. Is you sort of see how the mixed motorsport cars have worked out. They all worked out equally to run as good with each other up front as they are just behind them, of course, or are they thinking getting a little bit of experience in working with Hamish Gallagher out front as well. As I said, it's quite handy getting this information, because this is almost like a practice session as well as a race session, of course. It gives you some information about what's going to happen tomorrow in the 500, but it also gives you good starting position as well, and that can be critical.
Yeah, definitely. So you can use it as a live test session, but you also want to win. Any race win at Daytona, it's just still a race. Any win is always a big win at Daytona. But yeah, you can make adjustments on the fly and pit stops as well. So you can change your tape. You can adjust that more or less. So some of these guys might be just playing with that as well, just to see how their car goes in the pack and seeing what the adjustments might do to their car to get all ready for the big dance on Sunday.
Yeah, that's it as well. Of course, those little tweaks and things like that you might want to do before the start of the race, and you might think just going a little bit of a different way than you were thinking. Of course, once you qualified as well, you know what's going to be happening in the race a little bit more. If you're going to be running mid-pack, start front of the pack or back of the pack, and that can affect your decision making as well. As the high line just does get a bit choppy and almost begins to towards the back. As big long crash here. This might bring out the caution.
Stay green for now. So yeah, interesting one there. He must have gathered it up, but it's sort of killed the momentum of a few drivers there. So I was just watching. I'm about to say Aiden Schultz doesn't look happy just riding there in the third. So I reckon look for him to make a move, possibly with JCW at some point.
Yeah, he's sort of thinking about that sort of that move. Just trying to figure out what happened there. I think there was a bit of contact.
Move. He's just sorry, Matt Raymond. I keep getting him confused with Hunter. He's just jumped up in front of Matt Raymond, and now he's going to give him a shove towards up to Denny G. So he's trying to get going. So someone might jump out of his front pack up in front of Denny G, and it'd be wise. Obviously, his skill level is up there. He'd be a good pusher, a good teammate. Well, not teammate, but a good team car to get in front of. But no one seems to be doing it at this point in time. They're all sort of happy at the front there, the top four, happy to just to ride on that bottom line.
Seeming pretty happy at the moment in that position where they are at. And as you say, remaining green as well. That's a critical factor of this race. As we got 7 laps to go, and that bottom line is still working out the best at the moment. Top line just hasn't managed to get itself together so far.
Yeah, no one's sort of willing to give the 24 any help. I think that's Dan Stevens up there now. I'll just check with that. But Phil Otto, sorry, it's Phil Otto. So he's trying to persist with that line. Matty Raymond's actually jumped down the bottom line for the first time, I reckon, tonight. He's seen enough of it and thinks his way forward is going to be on the bottom. But surely we see some cars make some moves here soon with 7 laps to go. I think you've got to start showing your hand in the next 3 laps.
That's it. It's all a waiting game, isn't it, now on the super speedway, because it's sort of almost a curse to be leading on the last lap sometimes. You're in a position where you can get overtaken. There's not much you can do about it. So those guys are starting to think about those positions gained and really what the best move is for doing that.
Yeah, I feel Aiden Schultz is sort of anticipating something to happen here. I feel like Aiden Schultz wants to get out there and make something happen. But he's worried no one's going to go with him, I'd say. But he looks the most likely to try and work something here. But again, I would think he's one that's got a race in. So at the moment, he's in this race. So he doesn't have to do anything silly.
No, he's really thinking about it, Aiden Schultz. So Aiden Schultz is...
Matty Raymond to the second line again.
Yeah, Aiden Schultz has got to race for his position, so he's not locked in for tomorrow. So he's got to think about that as well, because, of course, the big thing happens right now and he ends up down the back end of the field. It could be disaster for him and not a place in the 500, so he's not locked in for tomorrow. So he's really got to try and hold the car where he almost doesn't there, going across the triangle there.
Yeah, they get him in that triangle, but he doesn't do anything, has to do anything here. So for me, if I'm in that 52, I think it is, I would just be riding this out and using that yellow line as my saviour, and let whoever wants to have a challenge on the outside have a crack at it. But he does need to just calm this car down a bit. He's getting a bit loose, bit wobbly over the track. He will. He could end up getting turned by doing that. So he just wants to try and settle that down and keep the nerves under control.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things to do, is just keep nerves under control sometimes. It's you've almost got to swallow and take a deep breath and try and do some yoga as you're driving, because it does get very nerve-wracking out there. And, of course, the heartbeat starts going, the blood starts pumping, and the adrenaline starts kicking in. And you see that chance of getting a W under your belt here at Daytona, and you think about it, big moment
on the apron.
Big moment towards the back.
Down there on the apron, I'm pretty sure.
They are. So
we're staying green, though.
We're staying green. It was the 45, I think, of Gary Woolman there. Just getting loose.
Philato, Matt Hunter's involved in that one. Jason Martin sneaks through there somehow. Matt Hunter keeps it together going, so that's why they didn't go away yellow. But the boys at the front, Danny G's making some moves, so he's right up on the outside, Aiden Schultz now.
Yeah, Danny G's just getting a good bit of the side draft at the moment. He's taking advantage of that as we're on lap 58 now. Aiden Schultz has come out. He's come out. He's going to try for it. You got Joshua Carroll Walden back there as well. He's going to want to try and get another victory here at Daytona, of course, getting one last year famously at the start of the season. And he would be pretty happy to start up the front of the field, of course. But that top line doesn't look to have the speed at the moment. That bottom line still has that advantage for the time being.
Yeah, that's it. When you jump up like that, you got to being pushed. So we're running 2 laps to go here, 2 to go. But when you're getting pushed, you need to try and keep it as straight as possible. If you can't keep it straight, you don't go fast. So they're just losing a bit of time here. So just settle it down here, Aiden, and he'll be right. But he's got Matty Raymond up there behind him now. So now, I mean, you've got to make your move now. So and Danny G leaves him hanging. He thinks his way to the front is in that bottom line. He can't.
He does.
He can't push Aiden anymore. He feels that he's not comfortable enough to be to run on there. Aiden done nothing wrong. All he's got to do is just ride there, and he'll be in this thing, I believe, where he finishes. So no panic stations yet, as we're about to come around to take the white flag here. So once we take that white flag, next flag ends it.
Yeah, that's it. It will be the white flag out as Danny G jumps out in front of Aiden Schultz now. That is a cheeky thing to do. Aiden Schultz, he will not be looking at pushing Danny G there.
I think Danny G's trying to just make something happen. I think he wants the 67 to go with him, which is Reese May.
Aiden Schultz just having a big moment there, managed to catch the car, managed to save it, but almost disaster for Schultz there.
Danny G's made his move, he's gone high. See if Josh comes out. Josh has got to come out here if he wants to win this race. They're coming up on lap cars here. Josh needs to make a move to the outside. He sticks with the Mitch Motorsports cars on the inside. So does Reese May. It looks like these boys are going to be happy just to finish with that. And Danny G sneaks straight back in there just as they come out of turn 4. This looks like Hamish Gallagher. Josh makes his move. It's going to be too late, though. Hamish will get this one done across the line, and he wins it. Hamish Gallagher, he gets spun by his teammate across the line. But he gets the W.
Spinning it, but winning it there for Hamish.
He goes straight into his burnouts. But I think Josh might have left the run too late there. I think he needed to get up in front of Denny G to have any chance. It's hard to do, especially with the teammate cars in front of you. But whether or not Denny G would have helped to get him past his teammates, probably not. So I don't think JCW had any option there.
No, he didn't. Just going through some of the other drivers just quickly. Aiden Schultz did a good job there of actually keeping control of the car because he almost lost that one. Luke Trahir managed to make it up to 9th in the end with Michael Skurlock in 10th. So great job from those guys to get back and save the car. Ryan Bull as well making it into the race in 12th place. So he managed to recover from what looks to be a fatal mistake earlier on by not coming in for that early stop. But let's run through the finishing order. So up at the front of the field was Hamish Gallagher with Josh Micklemore 2nd, Joshua Carroll Walton 3rd, with Reese May in 4th. Great job from Reese May there. 5th, Danny G with Paul Jackson 6th. 7th was Maddie Raymond with Aidan Schultz in 8th. 9th, Luke Trahir with Michael Skurlock 10th. 11th, Devon Stove with 12th, Ryan Bull. Adam Roselle in 13th. Danny Stevens 14th. 15th was Gary Wellman, Jason Martin 16th, 17th Nigel Patton, Matt Hunter 18th, Phil Otto in 19th, 20th was Mick Wilson, then Jacob Brewer 21st, Gary Huff 22nd, Jason Nichols 23rd, Paul Daniel 24th, Kai Donald 25th, 26th was Jason Hartigan, but remember Jason Hartigan is locked into the race, and 27th was Bailey Brancott, unfortunately out of the race. So that will be everybody from Mick Wilson down into the race. So Jacob Brewer just missing out on the chance to get into the 500, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, that's it. And we talked about teamwork at the start of the race, and as you can see here, 2 good examples of it. The Mitch Motorsport cars finishing 1 and 2 up the front there, and then you also have the Cranky Sport cars where Luke Trahir got into that trouble. Mick Skurlock went back and helped him, and those guys will be in the Daytona 500 on Sunday.
Yeah, that's it, and it's a good starting position for Hamish Gallagher. Of course, he'll be on the second row of the grid on that outside line with Josh Micklemore behind him. So that's going to be quite useful for the Mitch Motorsport boys. They've got quite a few cars up in that sort of top section as well. So once the other race, of course, once the other server sorts itself out, we'll have information, and of course we'll go through the starting order tomorrow of the actual race. But just a reminder that Raymond Yeager will be on pole with Ruben Phelps in 2nd place. We'll find the bottom line order out for you and have that all for tomorrow before the 500, which of course starts at 2:10 tomorrow afternoon. But before we go, we will try and grab down some of the winners and have a quick chat to them before we leave. So if we can, we'll grab down Hamish Gallagher first. Hamish Gallagher, congratulations on that win at the Daytona Duel.
Thank you, Carl.
And welcome back to the broadcast booth for 2021. Nice to see you back. New team, new start to the year. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great right now. That was got a really strong car, so I'm feeling very confident about tomorrow.
I imagine, of course. With this being the qualifying race, of course, it's a bit different to a normal race per se, because of course you're thinking about track position more so than you are thinking of winning and things like that. Of course, winning is obviously a good feeling as well. So you must be happy to get a W under the belt here at Daytona in the ANZCAR League.
Yeah, I mean, I am. But like you said, this is really just a bit of a practice run. So it's good to work together. Unfortunately, Dan and Jace had a couple of issues, sort of split us up a bit. But car felt great, and it's easy to drive. It's fast. So, yeah, real happy with how tonight went.
Now, we did see you had a bit of a swap of position from the pit stops. Was that a sort of planned move with yourself and Josh Micklemore, or was it just Josh making a bit of a mistake in the pit lane?
Nah, I think Josh slid for his box, so we weren't trying to play games or anything like that. Just one of those things, but it sort of worked out well since we were both lined up on the inside. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it must be good to get an idea of how the car runs. Obviously, you've got a good idea of how the car runs out front now for tomorrow for the 500. So yourself and Mr. Micklemore must be pretty happy about the car feeling for that one.
Yeah, Josh has built a killer setup, so now we know how it runs in a pack. It runs great, so yeah, we're looking forward to tomorrow.
And speaking of the devil himself, Josh Micklemore is joining us just down here in the booth. How's it going, Josh?
How are you guys? Yeah, good. Good to be back.
Welcome back to the booth in 2021. So P2 in the qualifying race for the Duel. Not bad for you at all. It looked like you guys had some good pace out there tonight, though.
Yeah, we're a bit off in qualifying, but yeah, worked pretty hard with the race setup. So yeah, I think it showed tonight. We have fairly quick cars, so hopefully we can move on tomorrow night. Same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, a bit of practice as well. It gives you a bit of an idea of what to expect for the race, I imagine, running in the Duel.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. It's good, like a little practice run to sort of see what the cars are going to do and test a few things out as well. So yeah, it's good to be a part of it.
No, awesome job from you both. Well, we both got you up in the box, P2, P1 and P2 positions from the Duel. We'll get you to just do a quick shout out to anyone you'd like tonight for sponsorship and all that kind of usual thing.
Yeah, just like to thank BK Designs for coming on board again this year for the sponsorship of the team, and yeah, you guys for getting the year going again and commentating for the stream, and that is yeah, it's gonna be a good year, I think. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Always welcome and good luck for tomorrow in the 500. Next up, we have Mr. Joshua Carroll, and of course, last year's 500 winner, coming in third place tonight for the Duel. So, not a bad finish for you tonight, Mr. JCW.
No. Yeah, I'm really happy about that. Yeah, obviously, Hardigan had his little incident early on in the race, so essentially, I was just there by myself basically. So like, a win was always quite far, quite a bit out of reach. But yeah, just plugged my way through, and yeah, I'm really happy with third. That's 8th place for the race tomorrow. Which I'm really happy with.
Yeah, obviously, starting up towards the front of the field must be a good feeling for all of you, of course. Means you're less likely to get into some early trouble, of course. How important is it to try and get a good position for the 500 in these dual races?
Like, I mean, in the duels themselves, like, it was, no one really knew what to expect tonight. Like, this is the first, real proper time ANZCAR has done, qualifying format like this. So, I thought there'd be a lot more cautions, especially early on, and yeah, but yeah, ultimately in the dual race, it was all about patience. And for the 500 tomorrow, yeah, I'd prefer to be staying on the inside, but yeah, we've got the job on the outside tomorrow. And yeah, like again, it will just be about patience, and yeah, a lot, all the drivers will be, much more calm tomorrow. Like, it's a very long race, 200 laps, 3 hours. And yeah, yeah, it's just patience, but probably time and a half it tomorrow.
Yeah, that's it. Patience is a virtue sometimes. So before we let you go, JCW, just a quick shout out to sponsors and people like that.
Yeah, well, shout out to Hamish and Josh. Yeah, Unbreakable at the front, you two. And yeah, really fantastic tonight. Shout out to Jason as well. I mean, he didn't throw the pacify out of the cot tonight. He stayed behind and spotted for me and let me know what was going on. So shout out to him. Shout out to I guess my former teammates, Ed, Norman, and Lockie. Ed and Lockie were kind enough to loan us the setup for this race, because we are a brand new team at Tatari. And yeah, shout out to the ANZCAR admins and the ANZCAR League. So Ed again, Danny G, and Matt Hunter.
Thank you so much, JCW, and we will wish you all a good race for tomorrow. Hopefully, as you say, it's going to be about 3 hours of racing. It's going to be a tough one for you all, isn't it?
Yeah,
I've got to do another one tonight, yeah.
How are you going to have any stamina left, Micklemore? I mean, my throat is dead already, so I'm not looking forward to tomorrow.
It's all good.
Good luck for tonight, and good luck for tomorrow, boys. We'll see you then.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Top 3 there from the Duel. Of course, let's say join us tomorrow for the race, and of course that will be recorded and available up on Simshed Broadcasting to watch later as well if you don't catch it live, but it will be live from tomorrow at 2:10, where we'll be getting ready for the build of the race. Dave, what were your thoughts on that Duel? Well, first Duel in ANZCAR, of course, but what were your thoughts on that race?
Yeah, it sort of had a bit of everything in that one. Some new drivers, some new teams, fresh faces. It's always good. But yeah, some drivers will be going home and happy, and some will be obviously coming back here to watch it on the stream tomorrow. So yeah, a bit of work will go on over the night. They might make some tweaks to set up. Now they know what they've got, and whether they're going to be happy to sit with it or try and make some minor adjustments. But yeah, you don't want to change it too much. You don't want to put yourself out of the window. But yeah, it all happens tomorrow.
It does indeed. It's going to be an exciting one from tomorrow. So, as usual, we will give everybody a big a big shout out and a big thank you for coming. A big thank you to all the sponsors and to JP himself, of course, from Synergy Broadcasting for running this race, and to all of the people that were viewing this race as well. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed this broadcast. From myself, Carl Withy, from JP and Dave Douglas, we're wishing you a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow for the 500. Bye-bye.